When we run a hypothesis test, we use a significance level to determine whether the p-value is sufficiently small to reject the null hypothesis, h0. We often use a threshold of alpha equals 0.05. But is there something special about the value 0.05? No. At least there's something special about the precise value of 0.05. But there are reasons why a number near 0.05 tends to be reasonable. Let's run a little experiment. We have several scatter plots based on samples from different populations. For each scatter plot, your job is to weigh two possibilities. There is no upward, linear trend in the data. Any trend we observe is simply the result of chance selection from the population. This is the null hypothesis. There is an upward, linear trend in the data. That is, any trend we observe is the result of a real trend in the population, not just that the sample happened to show a trend. This is the alternative hypothesis. Strong evidence for the alternative hypothesis would come in the form of an unambiguous linear trend up and to the right. To help you get started, let's cover a few examples. In this first example, we can observe an upward linear trend. Most people would say that this trend is unambiguous and probably evident in the population represented by the sample. That is, the trend in the sample data in this case seems so clear that most people would conclude that there is probably some real trend in the population and they would reject the null hypothesis. In the second example, it's unclear if there's an upward linear trend. In this case, we will not reject the null hypothesis. In this last example, it looks like there might be an upward linear trend. Some people might say yes, that trend seems so strong that it wouldn't happen from chance alone, so reject the null hypothesis. Other people might be more skeptical and decide they cannot confidently reject the null hypothesis. In this case, it's unclear which we should go with. Your decision might be different than those of your classmates. Many of the plots that you will be presented with may seem like they could go one way or the other. Generally, if you can't confidently reject the null hypothesis, we suggest you do not reject the null hypothesis. One last word. There are no correct answers, and your choices are not being graded in any way. So just do your best to decide whether the upward linear trend is so strong that the null hypothesis should be rejected for each plot.